This episode of Inside Golf Podcast is brought to you by Inside Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Boston Capital Tour Steve on the Hold the Green podcast.
All right, we are live. Tapping birdie.
All right, Carson Young is here.
I bet Ludwig at 28.
Let's go. I bet
You
him
do
at,
too?
I bet him at 25.
Low sevens. I think there's some guys in here we like.
Harris English at 7,300.
I love Brian Harmon at 3.5% this week.
What's up, guys? It's producer Cam here. ISN is now partnered with Shorty's Golf. Shorty's Golf is designed to provide kids with the perfect introduction to the game of golf by offering high-quality clubs and equipment specifically tailored to their need. They offer custom sizes for various age groups, ensuring that the kids have clubs that are tailored to their height and strength. They feature fun, vibrant colors and lightweight stand bags that are easily adjustable. Each set features real stainless steel clubs, high-quality materials, and sturdy construction, making them long-lasting while providing a real golf experience. So go check them out, golfshorties.com. Use ISN15 at checkout for $15 off your purchase.
Good evening, everybody. It is Twitterless Steve. Boston Capper is not here. He is solo dadding, tied up with all his crazy rugrats at home. But thankfully, we got our producer extraordinaire, Cameron Kerr, here, a fellow fan of a conspiring, colluding team that is anti-Sanders family. How you doing tonight, Cam?
I'm good, man. Just got to talk horse racing with our old pal Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oaklawn, for the Kentucky Derby this weekend. That's up on our YouTube if y'all haven't had a chance to check it out. It's actually on the website. It's behind the paywall in the Discord. So join us at InsideSportsNetwork.com. Chase is really sharp, and he gave me a lot of insight into that. So, but ready to talk Byron.
Yeah, definitely. I always loved his analysis on horse racing. I was actually talking to my wife tonight about the Kentucky Derby, and she always has a theory that she only will pick horses with the Spanish jockeys. So she loved Rodriguez because she's like, oh, it's got to be a Spanish jockey. And then when I told him the jockey's Mike Smith, she's like, oh, immediately out. He's going to finish last. So
yeah, he actually gave me some. He like knows about these jockeys, like knows about how they interact with like the trainers and all this. And he's like, yeah, some jockeys just like don't listen to the trainers at all. And I was like, really? They don't get like kicked off? And they're like, no. Like, where are they going to find another guy that wants to do this and is that small, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of golf qualities of horse racing too, with like the turf conditions, like whether it's wet track, dry track, and everything.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about horse racing is like he called it parimutuel odds, where like you bet a horse and the odds can change. And I was like, I wonder why they don't like do that for like golf or something like that. Like I know it's a little bit different, but like they only have fixed odds for like the big events like the Kentucky Derby. And imagine if like you bet a guy at like 100-1 and it gets steamed down to like 60 and you lose all the CLV that you got. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you can't put that in the fridge anymore. But yeah, definitely go check that out. Become an insider. Listen to those Kentucky Derby podcasts. Also become an insider. Andy is back this week with ownership projections. His article breaking down the changes at TPC Craig Ranch. We'll talk about those in a little bit here as well. But yeah, definitely become an insider. Join the Discord. You definitely will not regret that. But as everybody knows here, we are in Dallas, Texas this week for TPC Craig Ranch. Cameron, you are a Texas native. You've been to TPC Craig Ranch many times. This is where you actually, I think, was this the beginning of your Carson Young infatuation / stalking? Did it happen here at Craig Ranch?
It was. So I actually don't know if I've told this story, but when I think honestly it was like maybe Brian like was tweeting about him after he was first round leader in Puerto Rico or something like that, or he won in Puerto Rico on the Corn Ferry Tour.
No, he was first round leader in Puerto Rico.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So so I kind of like knew about him, and I started betting him a couple times, and so the tracker account started following me on Twitter, and we were like chopping it up. Well, I went to follow him at Craig Ranch 3 years ago, and took a picture with him, and I tweeted out like the selfie on our account, and I was like 8 under incoming for the real C Young, because at that time like Cam Young was like actually playing good golf,
Talented,
yeah, and he ends up going out there and shooting an 8 under like 63 or 62 or whatever it was, and after that, on the 18th hole, that's when I met his family and his wife, and we got hooked up, and he came on our show and all that. So ever since then, I thought I was his lucky charm, and I have bad news because he tees off at 7:01 a.m. on Thursday, and I don't know if I'm gonna. It's an hour away from me, so like I would have to wake up at like 5:30 to get over there for his tee off, and it's going to take a lot of willpower if I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did he mention a couple? Did he go to Colonial and he mentioned you like he was a little nervous that you showed up and he got to a rocky start? So maybe you actually not being there might have off to a good start on Thursday morning. You know, the pressure's off. His super fan's not there.
Yeah, maybe
ISN aren't on him at that point.
He didn't play as well the year after. The year after we went and I did that, and so maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Stat ATL. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wake up early.
You have to. You
absolutely
have to. Yeah. I mean, you flew to Rochester to Oak Hill at the last minute. I mean, that's true dedication for you right there. You definitely have to get up and drive.
No, that was Capper. I had those like Capper and I would have been sleeping in your garage had I not booked our hotel out like 6 months in advance, and then he decides to come last minute, and I end up having to share a bed with him in Rochester in our king bed hotel room because I booked it so far out in advance that I didn't book double beds.
No. How many how strong of earplugs did you have? I'd have very strong earplugs when I roomed with him at the Masters.
Yeah, not
that man's a snorer.
Enough. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I am too. So he I guess I shouldn't talk. So all right, so let's talk TPC Craig Ranch. You obviously know this golf course very well. Have you played this? Have you played it before?
No, I haven't played it. I need to get to know Jeff McGinnis a little bit better because his company has if you sponsor this tournament, they give you a membership, a 4-person membership, corporate membership. And so he gets to go out with the company that he works for, which is owned by, I think his brother that he was telling me, or his uncle or something like that. And so he gets to go out there and play it. And I just haven't done a good, like McKinney is an hour and 15 minutes from my house. It's not like an easy trip to go hang out with Jeff McGinnis, but I mean, Jeff's a really, really cool guy and we meet up every year, but no, I haven't gotten to play it.
Okay. So I feel like, I mean, I know in our circles, Andy has his opinions. I have my opinions about the golf course. I mean, do you have any like defenses for the golf course as far as like, I guess like, what do you like about TPC Craig Ranch? Like maybe tell the audience the silver linings of this place. Cause it definitely gets a very bad rap. I feel like from most people in the architecture community, who kind of care about that stuff.
Walking on Zoysia is pretty fun.
Okay. Well, they took that away this year. So there you go.
Wait, what?
Oh, you don't know this?
No, I haven't heard this. I've heard
we'll talk about the changes.
Okay.
Now, it's not going to be Zoysia this year.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the front nine is a little bit like you're not in Dallas. So if you've played in Dallas, there's a lot there is a lot of courses that have like creeks that run through it and like little ravines. There's not a whole lot of elevation, and I feel like you at least get like a little bit of an elevation change back there, even though it's nothing crazy. But just like it's back in the woods and a little bit, but the back nine, I mean, it feels just like the pin and the hole locations and like the fairways are just kind of bland. My favorite hole combo is 14 and 15 because you have the short part, the short par 4, 14th, and then the long par 3 over the water, and then like 16 and 17 and 18 are just kind of boring. They're just like all kind of lined up there, and yeah, I mean, honestly, like I don't know if I would pay to go. If I got invited, I would go play, but if you go an hour and 15 minutes south of me, you get to go to Pine Dunes, which is $100. It's one of the best public courses in the state of Texas. I'm sure Devin has at least heard of it. I've gotten to play it once. It's one of the nicest courses that I've ever been to, and it's just a fraction of the price of anywhere else in the country. I mean, it's insane.
Okay, so bang for your buck, then Pine Dunes is the recommendation, not a TPC Craig T. Nelson. So I'll talk about some of the changes to the golf course. So there's a big change coming up after this tournament. So Lanny Watkins, I believe this is going to be his first project. They are going to dump $15 million into this place to completely overhaul it. Some of the things that they're going to do is just moving some bunkers around. They're going to redo the greens. They're going to resod the greens. They're not going to be bent grass anymore. They're going to be Bermuda going forward. But that's after this tournament. I don't know if it's because they wanted to do it before this tournament. They couldn't get it done on time. So they're kind of doing some little changes to try and, I guess, bring some respect back to this place. What respect it ever had, I think. So, so this is what they're doing this year. So they built some more tee boxes, which I'll get to in a little bit as far as like maybe what I'm looking for this week. They added new tee boxes on 2 of the par 5s, number 5 and number 9. They added a new tee box on 10, 11, 12 to lengthen those. And they added a new tee box on the par 4, short drivable par 4, the 14th. Added about like 150 yards total to the scorecard yards. We'll get to the scorecard yards in a little bit if it actually is going to play that way. But that was one change. They lengthened it. They're also narrowing the fairways this year. Usually they're about like 35 to 40 yards wide. And kind of think about this place like a big bomber's paradise, just blast it as far as you can. I guess they're taking the theory of, well, let's try and make quote unquote accuracy matter this year. So they're going to narrow the fairways, which seems to never work when you try that strategy. They're also overseeding the golf course this year too. So last year it was Zoysia fairways, Bermuda rough, 2.5-inch Bermuda rough. Now it's going to be overseeded ryegrass fairways, overseeded rough, about 3.25 inches. Not all that high, but higher than what it was. There's a note in the GCSAA report this week that they had trouble growing the ryegrass in this year because there's a high volume of salt in the groundwater. And Cam, I need to ask you, because I happen to know a lot about this industry and a lot about this topic. How much freaking salt did you use down there this winter for there to be salt in the groundwater?
None.
Like, did you have any snowstorms where you had to put salt on the road at that point?
No, like there was only one time I had to cancel a work trip because it was going to potentially rain and then freeze, and it didn't even get that bad from what I understand. And I understand McKinney is a little further north than me, and they get it a little worse, but there wasn't anything crazy this year.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's usually how salt gets into the groundwater is road salt.
Yeah, that's
dumped off the road into the water. Yeah. So I know a lot about that topic living up in New York. But so apparently that prevented some healthy ryegrass growth. So we'll see how actually thick this rough is. I mean, it's only 3.25 inches. I think it's gonna be sparse and inconsistent if they had a lot of trouble growing it out. So we'll see how actually effective that is.
Yeah, I'm planning on going in tomorrow, but the weather reports, I need someone to like predict the weather accurately. I'm looking at like 3 different apps. Some say it's going to start at 9 a.m. and then go all day. And then Windfinder says it's going to just pour at like 7 p.m. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just going to wake up and either text Jeff and say, hey, what the clouds look like outside, and go from there, or just kind of get on the road and play it by ear. But I really want to go look at that specifically for that point, Steve. Just kind of see what it looks like. I saw some pictures. Brian Campbell posted some on Instagram today, and at least like the 14th hole looked really nice. You could see the updated tee box. It's a little bit further on the right and further back, and there's a giant BBGO logo like right next to it. So what holes were the fairways narrowed on?
All of them. So they brought in all the fairways. That's just their attempt of, hey, we want accuracy to matter. Hey, we don't want these guys just bombing everywhere. Thing is, though, when you get to a long golf course with a lot of high volume, longer approach shots, where, if you look at some other golf courses that are kind of similar as far as like driver heavy, narrow fairways, you'll get like Silverado, Country Club of Jackson. Like the driving accuracy rates are probably around like 50, 52, 55%. That's gonna be down from like 60, 65% what it usually is. So maybe like 1.5 less fairways hit per round for everybody. But normally when you do that, though, like, it doesn't make accuracy matter. Guys are just going to hit driver and hit it wherever. And sometimes the penalty for missing in the fairway because you don't have very interesting green complexes, nothing really challenging around the greens. And unless the rough is really gnarly, which it doesn't seem like it will be here, there's not going to be much of a penalty for missing the fairway. So, generally speaking, you just want to target guys who probably are just really good drivers, have a lot of length. I think that's probably the common narrative this week. Definitely formulated a lot of my betting cards, especially because, as you mentioned, it's going to rain a lot tomorrow. So it's going to be very soft conditions.
Yep.
So
the common thing is that it is going to rain tomorrow, and it's going to dump at least 1.5 inches, according to the majority of the sites I looked at. So that ball, especially in the morning when it's dewy and humid, it's gonna be long.
Yep. Yeah. The one thing that doesn't really deter me, though, is the lengthening of the golf course. I don't know. I haven't consumed a lot of content. I'm coming off vacation. But the lengthening of the golf course, and if you want to just target like really good long iron approach players and everything like that, well, I think it's important to keep in mind of like where exactly they lengthen this place. So I mentioned earlier, 2 of the places they mentioned they lengthened were the par 5s, number 5 and number 9. They lengthened number 5, I think 60 to 70 yards.
Whoa.
Number 9's like 40 yards. So number 9, theoretically, you know how the creek kind of bisects the middle of the fairway?
Yeah, and up those guys stuck it. They can stick it really close to that creek, and then have 3 wood, 3 hybrid, 5, 7 wood in whatever it is. And I watched Carson hit a nasty 3 wood in on that hole last time. It's cool.
Yeah. So basically, the number 9 is still reachable. And I guess theoretically, if you are out of position, like, and let's say you draw a bad lie, you maybe want to consider not going for the green because it's a longer carry over the creek there. But there's a really generous bailout area left that gives you a really good angle up to the green. So I don't really expect that hole to change all that much. Number 9, theoretically, it's 635 yards. Now, I say that, but it may not play that true yardage because last year at the Byron Nelson, it was built at max 7,400 yards. It only played 7,300 yards. So they did play up on some tee box. They didn't play a true yardage. Will it actually play 635? I don't know. We'll see. If it does, though, that might end up being a hole where actually guys maybe have like 100 yards in for their third. So it's not really a long approach shot. But regardless, this was always a golf course that had a lot of long approach shots. And you just look at how this tournament has gone, either the skill sets that have won here, which is really what I'm focused on this week, is just like who is actually winning this place. Iron play just hasn't been all that big of a strength for these guys coming in, specifically long iron play. And I actually got some data. Some of these guys, what they were doing coming in from the long iron. So Taylor Pendrith last year, We think of him as a good ball striker because he's hitting the ball really good right now. Good long iron player. Last year was not hitting the ball very well with his irons coming in. He was 108 from 150 to 175. He was 30 from 175 to 200. Good. That's the least important bucket with the long iron approach. 120 from 200 plus. So if you were focused on long iron play and iron play in general coming in, it really wouldn't have done it for you. And he ends up winning. I say like a Ben Coles was second, Alex Noren was third. Alex Noren ranked sub 130 in all the long iron categories in proximity coming in. And he still finished like 21 under.
Interesting.
Same thing with Jason Day. 68th from 150, 175. This is the winner in 2023, but 161st from 175, 200, 200 plus 113th. Like we never really think of Jason Day as this like preeminent ball striker. So that didn't get it done. Cage Lee, pretty mediocre in all the long iron stats too. And you just look at this place too, as far as like the difficulty of the approach shots relative to other golf courses. It's very easy at this place. There just isn't a whole lot of difficult conditions as far as like difficult approach shots. Kind of dumbs it down. So this is actually one of the few golf courses that, like, obviously iron play is important. I think if I was creating like a DFS pool of like 20 guys, yeah, I want good iron players because it's a better path towards success. Obviously, you're going to hit a lot of them. But you look at some of the winners like Pendrith, and this is also 0.2. He only gained like 0.16 strokes per round with his irons. Like he definitely did not win this because of his iron play. So even though it's a high volume of long approach shots, usually that's something you want to target. That's just not really important to me this week. What is important to me? Obviously, I talked about some distance because I think it's going to play pretty long. Anytime you have a longer golf course with some narrow fairways, even if the rough isn't all that penal, I still want a guy who's longer just because they can get it out a little easier. They have a little bit of a higher ball flight into some of these greens too. So I just noticed like those guys just tend to win this, like that type of setup. So I want some guys with length here. I want good putters. I still think like even with the narrower fairways, I still think this thing's gonna be a birdie fest. I still expect a winner at least 20 under for this place. Possibly like if you want to actually game out where the average scoring is going to be, if you throw in like another missed fairway or two, like the missed fairway penalty from the rough is like 0.25 strokes per missed fairway. So about like half a stroke at that point. So maybe instead of like -2.5 plays -2 per round. Still one of the easier setups at this place. So, and if there's going to be a lot of birdies, yeah, could like a Kevin Yu do what he did at Sanderson and just miss a bunch of putts for months and then suddenly gain? Sure, I don't want to bank on that. So I'm probably going to make some guys that I know can putt. And just get guys just have high birdie rates. This is going to be the second straight show I have mentioned Jeff Nagel, a Jeff Nagel theory that has always stuck with me. We did our usual, song and dance before every single tournament where we talk about long iron play and like which stat categories mattered. And I remember he did a show. It was in 2023. He said, fuck all that. Pardon my language. He said, I'm just going to look for guys who I'm going to build my pool based on just birdie or better percentage. Guys who make a lot of birdies. And he ended up landing on Jason Day, who was not popular that week, just coming off a withdrawal, but he was a bad iron player, or like, he wasn't a bad iron player. He was like a mediocre iron player coming in, but he's like, guy just makes a lot of birdies. And guess what? He won. Last year with Pendrith, struggling with the irons coming in, but he was 62nd in birdie percentage, 35th for par 5 birdie percentage as well. That's really what I'm looking for. Just, do you have some pop off the tee? Good driver. Can you sink some putts and can you make some birdies? Because I just don't think this place values like good golf. I think it's just so easy that almost anybody can do it. You kind of saw it last year. Pendrith, Ben Coles, Alex Noren. Like, it's really easy to score. Right, it just, you got to get hot and get in, with the putter and rack up a bunch of birdies. That's really about it. That's all I'm going for. So it's going to be kind of a dumbed down analysis this week for me, because I'm just going to be like, this guy has length. This guy makes putts. Caveman golf kind of. So that's what I'm going for this week. What about you? Like, are you kind of have that similar mindset as I am, as far as just like, forget the ball strikers. Just, I want guys to blast it and make a lot of putts.
I will say, I wish we had talked before, because I did look at, 175 to 200 and 200 plus. And, that's how I got to one of these guys. And he ended up his chart. We'll have to look at it in a little bit, but his chart was screamed TPC Craig Ranch, and I was like, all right, this is my guy this week. But we can get to the odds board and
yeah, like I'm not saying that hurts. Like obviously, if you're a good long iron player, yeah, you give yourself more opportunities. I just think this particular place, it's so easy that anybody can really do it. Like even if with the narrower fairways, I just think that skill is completely devalued this week.
Yeah, and
yeah, it's hard to just like bank on that of being like, yeah, that's going to be the giant separator, because it has not really been a good separator in tournament is iron play. It's been mostly just performance off the tee and putting.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to try and get out there tomorrow, so I'll be able to report back to the insiders on some stuff. But really, I think after seeing the forecast and stuff like that, I'm just like, hey, let's just find bombers. Let's just find people who hit it a long ways and hit their irons and hope they have a good putting week. I mean, the year that Carson was like T14 or whatever, he was just making like all his putts. His short game was actually good, and which is rare sometimes, but that's really, yeah. I mean, that's really it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like there's guys I like this week that are shorter hitters. It's just that I think the particular profile of the guy who's actually going to win is just, I think you're gonna have some length. Like I think it's going to ultimately prevail. Like obviously with like there's probably some good DFS plays of guys who are shorter, but they just make a lot of birdies. You know, they're good long iron players. They can compensate that way. But like maybe I would consider them positional. I don't have any positional bets yet, just because I think I don't have much respect for this place. I don't have much respect for this tournament. And I think just if it's a putting contest, the positional pricing this week is kind of garbage. So I don't know if I want to deal with that. Maybe I'll save my money for like next week.
Yeah.
But there's shorter guys I definitely like that I'll highlight. I just think I just think at the end of the day, who's going to be holding the trophy is going to be somebody with some length is my guess.
Yep. Do you want to know the top 7 most tipped golfers?
Yeah, let me try and guess. I'm terrible at this game because I'm not on social media. I don't have a good pulse over what everybody is betting. I only see really what everybody else in Discord's betting at ISN, which is another reason to go join. It's not just us throwing out picks, it's all our sharp community throwing out their picks too. A lot of great minds in there. It's definitely worth coming in to chop shop, and it makes me not want to be on Twitter because I am on Discord talking to people I actually want to interact with.
Did I tell you about my week last week?
No.
Well, not last week, but for the RBC week.
What happened?
As far as betting, so I was like, I'm gonna tail RB on the Corrales and just hope for the best. And I started putting down the bets and got all the way down to the Corrales champion Garrett Higo. Saw Carson right next to him. Took Garrett off, put Carson on. Higo ends up winning, and then on that same day, Justin Thomas, who I've literally bet like every single week for the past like 6-7 weeks almost, wins the RBC. And yeah, I was pretty down. I was pretty down in the dumps after that.
Yeah, it sounds like you should have followed your colleagues.
Sounds like I should have been. Yeah. I should have gone to InsideSportsNetwork.com, signed up, and just tailed RB blindly.
Or my picks. I picked JT too, but okay.
And
had the double.
These picks, yeah, exactly.
There you go. All right, but yes, let's go over the tip chart. I'm bad at this game, but I think I know who the losers are going to be this week. As far as
I feel like you've seen all these.
Okay. All right. Let's start like way down in the dumps. I know this guy's gonna be popular because he's playing really good, coming off a second place finish, I think, at Corrales, I want to say. Had, pretty good in Texas. How about Alejandro Tosti?
Alejandro Tosti, number 5.
Okay. All right. Let's go to another guy who's been good at like Vedanta Vallarta, that's been thrown as like a comp course for this place. Playing great golf though. His iron's great. How about Sammy Valimaki?
Yep. Number 2.
All right, there we go. We are rolling.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that one.
No. How about Steven Yeager?
Yeah, I thought you were going with Steven Yeager with that one. He's number 4.
Okay. How about Jake Knapp?
Jake Knapp, number 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch. I think I'm gonna watch some of his shots just to like watch his swing. But I do think he's in a group with some heavy hitters. I think they put him kind of in the premier groups.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
literally, it's going to be 90% of the people watching Scotty, Jordan, and Siwoo, and then it's going to be me and like one other person following everyone else.
There you go. That's the best way to watch golf. You go to a tournament like where nobody's around, you can get up close to everybody. Why fight the crowd at that point? All right. Let's go a little more top of the board. Played well at Heritage, and he's got a second place finish here. Like you think about like the bomber, good putter, lots of birdie like narrative. How about Sam Burns?
Dang, that's the one I thought you weren't going to get.
Okay.
Sam Burns 25-1 at number 7.
All right. So I got 5 of 7. I think I'm missing only 2.
Yeah, you're only missing 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I just need Capper to not be here.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with. I've seen his name a lot in Discord. This is another guy that makes a lot of birdies, and he's got some pop. How about Isaiah Salinda?
Ooh, no, he's not on here.
Wow,
I bet he's up
surprising.
there though.
Okay, yeah, he's probably a popular pick this week. How about How about Taylor Moore?
No Taylor Moore.
All right, I'm starting to lose some steam here. All right, last one. How about screw it? How about Rico Hoy?
Nope, no
All right.
Rico. But
Okay.
I am.
All right, who are the other two?
He is playing with Carson, so I am going to follow him.
Okay. All right, who are the 2 I missed?
2 you missed: Davis Riley at 60-1 and Cam Davis at 80-1.
Davis Riley's all the way to 60-1. Oh my goodness, he was like 120-1 start the week.
Yeah. Shout out Golf's Tip Checker. He is an insider, and he was one of him and Valimaki were the 2 that he got in there on like Monday and was like, guys, the Valimaki's going to be the most tipped.
All right. Why don't I bet 2 of the guys on the tip chart? So that's encouraging. So, all right, let's get the odds board then. Okay. So we talked before the show. I think you're probably just going to throw out names and what I think about guys. Let me just ask you a question. Like, all right, the big bad elephant in the room, Scotty Scheffler. Okay, and it seems like anytime Sky's in the field, I ask Capper like, what possibly can you do to like bet him this week? So I guess I'll ask you the same question because look, I mean, like obviously he's head and shoulders the best player in this field. Birdie rates by far better. He's even putting well, like way better than like he usually does. So that's terrifying. But you also come to a golf course where I feel like a lot of his skill sets of like elite ball strength is just devalued at this place because a lot of guys can do it.
Yeah. I know that the last couple of years are different than this year with the putter, but I just feel like every year he just doesn't putt well here. And I don't know, like I could be completely wrong on that, but maybe it's like recency bias. Maybe like I followed him for a couple holes and just like saw him miss some like 6-footers or something, but I don't know. At 3-1, like you just can't. Like I can't.
All right. How about let's go positional market. Would you pay -120 for a top 5? That would be it. That would be if it's with dead heats.
I mean, I feel like there was that one, I think 2 years ago, or maybe at the end of last year, all I did every week was just bet Scotty top 5 and it just cashed every single week. Mm-hmm. And I think I've paid -120 before for something like that. So, I mean, but it all goes back to what you just talked about, where some of his ball striking is just washed out by how easy the course is. Like, is if you're paying dead heat, like I think even if let's say he ties for 5th, you're going to lose money, right? Because there's going to be someone at that like multiple people at that same number probably. So I don't know, probably not.
Yeah, let me just pull up the no dead heat pricing on him real quick. I'm gonna guess it's probably around like minus 170 range would be my guess. Minus 150. Not awful, but
Yeah,
that only
man,
takes
like-
that only takes a couple missed putts to
I'm not
bump him
paying
down to like
36 more,
T7 at that point.
And
All
his
right, top-
matchup is,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one you can match him up with. Like you can pay minus 1.5 at minus 250 for him versus Jordan Spieth. Like,
Yeah. The books basically just this is what the books want. They want you to basically lay a big bet on Scotty at 3-1. And that's really it. Like everything else just doesn't look appealing. Like there's too much variance at this place since Jordan Spieth has been too good in Texas to want to like, it's like, yeah, like I don't feel all of that confident betting like minus 300, but Scheffler like head to head against him, or like paying juice for a top 5 that can get chopped and then you lose money, or minus 250 for a top 10 where that's happened a lot this year. We've finished a lot of T7, T8s that end up getting chopped at that point, or minus 500 for a top 20. What if he has what happens at Scottsdale where he just completely checks out and misses a bunch of putts and he finishes like T21 and that blows that bet. So yeah, it's just like it's fortunate that he has not done what he has done last year so far of just being Thanos and killing all our outright bets and betting like the without Scotty markets. I mean, it is what it is at this point. I don't see a great way to put on the betting card. I'm still not doing the without Scotty markets, and my strategy is similar to what I've been doing for all year and all last year. At these signature events, I'm not betting anyone under 40-1. That's where I'm starting my card, and I'm just fading top of the board and just going more long shots. So that's worked for me. So, have you bet anybody under 40-1?
Yes, I bet Stephen Yeager, and he has just been playing well, hits it far, long irons are good, and that's really why I bet him. But that's really so far that's all I have under 40-1, and I have room to add someone in this range. So do you have any strong leans here or strong plays here?
All right. Well, I also bet Yeager too. And it just comes back from the standpoint of man hits ball far, man hits lots of putts, man makes lots of birdies. Yeah. Like it's basically all it is to it. You can actually get him still at 45-1 on FanDuel.
Oh,
so and there's a 40 out there as well. So, there's still some good pricing out him on if you're able to price shop on that. But yeah, that was one of the guys I bet this week, and I agree with you for all those. I mean, his iron play actually happens to be very good. I ignored that for this week, but just everything else, I know the guy can make putts. I know the guy can make a lot of birdies, and I know he has some pop off the tee. So
yeah, I'm on the new live odds board on InsideSportsNetwork.com.
Ooh, there you go.
Shout out Tyler who made this for us, and yeah, it looks like at FanDuel you can get a 45-1. DraftKings opened at 50, BetOnline's down to 35, and bookmakers down to 33. So
yeah, there you go. One guy I am scared of under 40-1 this week. And I looked at that top 20 price. I don't trust him. Or I think I'm going to stick my guns. I'm just going to be outright this week in no positionals. I feel like I've seen this movie before with Sam Burns, where he just has stunk for like a month and a half. And then he has this random halfway decent finish. And then it usually leads to like a win after that. I've seen it before at Valspar. I've seen it before at like match play where I bet him. Like, I feel like you get these little signs with Burns that he's starting to turn things around. And he finished T11 at Harbor Town. He putt pretty well, lost a little bit with the irons, but he was better than what he had been doing. And he's been great here. He's got a second place finish back in 2021. And he just fits the prototype of what I'm looking for this week. Like, if I'm going to ignore iron play in general, like if I feel he's devalued this week, Pop off the tee, great putter, lots of birdies. So, and he's done it a lot of the comp courses. I'm kind of looking at like former winner Country Club of Jackson. He's been good to like Scottsdale and Southwind and like there's a lot of courses that like with the data golf chart, like where you've been good at, you're good here, like crossovers. He fits a lot of that mold. I just was stuck. I stuck my guns of not betting anybody under 40-1, but if I did, I definitely would have considered Burns this week.
Yeah, this chart's a little scary. I mean, the only reason he hasn't been playing well this season and he got cut the last 3 times is because of his irons, and he actually had a pretty good week last week. He didn't gain any strokes on the field on approach, but I mean, his putter has just been lights out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's kind of been around this season, I guess. Dang, yeah, he's my fade this week, and you kind of just scared me a little. Maybe I'll switch it to like Ben On. Like I think Ben On has kind of what you're looking for, but I just don't know. I don't know if he's got it this year. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, like I think what scares me is can he make enough putts to get to like 22 under? I think he's a fine like 16 under top or like T13 contender. Yeah. I feel like, but I mean, kind of like what happened at Valspar a couple weeks ago, where he got off to a pretty nice start and then he just stopped making putts and kind of was a bonehead over the weekend too, and you just ended up petering out. Like it's kind of a Bet On story. Yeah. Like from a profile, I like him though. I mean, likes a lot of birdies and he hits it far. So that's a good plus. I don't trust that putter. And that kind of was like, all right. Like, okay.
I mean, and around the green isn't going to matter here. No. So that's where he's been best recently. I think
although with some of the par 5s, if they lengthened it, like it's still crucial to get your birdie. Also on the lengthened par 4, it's now like 360 yards. So that's now, instead of like a driver putter, it's now like driver like 40, 35 yard shot. So there is still going to be some around the green shots I think will matter maybe more this year. But it's still like, again, it's kind of like with the long iron play. I feel like it's so de-emphasized here as far as this, like the degree of difficulty. And now like, yeah, it's easy to chip out Zoysia, but it's also easy to chip off Overseed as well, to greens that don't have a lot of undulation. They're pretty big and you got a lot of real estate to work with. So, and these are professionals at the end of the day. Like even bad chippers are infinitely better than you and I. So, yeah, like it's a little scary, but yeah, like mostly with like guys, I don't trust the putter. I didn't bet this week. So, and if that beats me, it beats me.
I mean, only really other person down here, Siwoo.
Yeah, I mean, he's not putting all that great, but got a good finish here. He's a good long iron player, even though I'm not valuing that a lot. Makes a lot of birdies. He's short, though. So that was enough for me to get off.
Didn't play very well last week. I mean, not that Zurich really matters, but I mean, obviously he played well in South Carolina, but
yeah, he's been pretty hit or miss. Capper has a theory that he just doesn't have. He's not as fiery as what he used to be. Maybe it's because he no longer has to worry about the military service. So he won the gold of the Asian Games. Maybe he's kind of mailing it at this point. I don't know. I have no proof of that. But yeah, that's another guy. Taylor Pendrith back to back. Like that could happen. Before. Like I actually like if I'm looking at because I like Pendrith last year. I think I bet him positional because of just like I'm ignoring the iron play, but he makes a lot of birdies, and wish I bet him outright, but. I actually like the profile better this year for Pendrith as far as like he's actually hitting his irons pretty good. He actually is putting pretty well. He's got a pretty high birdie rate. Like, why not the Pendrith back to back? I wouldn't be offended with anybody who did that betting card took that take.
Okay.
So I mean he's been a popular outright pick on a couple tournaments this year. Maybe it's this one where people are like, oh, he can't go back to back like. Well, Cage Lee did it.
Yeah, Cage Lee did it. Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are the guys. Like I think Pendrith, Burns, Ben Griffin also. Like if he didn't just win last week,
Yeah,
That would pique my interest as far as like his skill set.
yeah. I can't do the Ben Griffin thing this week. Like,
That's
just
fine.
coming out. I thought. I mean, I didn't watch a whole lot of the Zurich, but I mean, from what people were saying in the Discord, like I think Andy kind of carried him a little bit too.
Yeah, he
At
very
least
much
the
got
first couple
carried.
days.
Yeah. Yeah, basically,
I
Andrew
did.
Novak was like Rory, and he was Shane Lowry last year, essentially.
Yeah. So I did this week do something that I don't normally do. I usually wait until after this show on Tuesday to put all of my outrights in. After we look at the chart and stuff like that, but I actually did put in some Monday bets. So all of these are from like Monday morning.
Okay.
And I bet Jake Knapp at 50. I missed the 55 by like 30 seconds.
Okay.
Are you're not on the Knapp time train right now?
You know, I have one spot left, my betting card this morning, and it was either do like the Celinda Valimaki toasty poo-poo platter or just take Jake Knapp at 55. And I took Jake Knapp at 55.
Okay. I was about to say, if you hadn't done it already, like I don't know if I saw and maybe I have a bad taste in my mouth from like Mexico, but I feel like if we went back and looked at the tip chart from Mexico, I think we would see Jake Knapp at like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And he just did not play well at all. Like it was totally just set up to fail from the start. So I'm a little worried about that. Like I think the train might be a little too full for Knapp, but you can't see, like I just want him to win just to like so I can just watch his swing. Like I just love his swing so much.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just going for man hits ball far, man hits lots of putts, man makes lots of birdies.
Yep, and that's what
like like it's not like his iron's all that great last year. He almost won this thing. So
yeah, I think that was my exact wording when he won in Mexico 2 years ago. I was like, look, I have no idea who this guy is. I've never heard his name, but man hit ball far, Cam make bet.
Yeah. I have some very bad takes from that episode that I wish could get scrubbed from the internet. But yes, I bet Jake Knapp, not knowing he was number 1 on the tip chart. I just stuck with my template I wanted this week, and he fits that. And I wanted to bet him instead of chalk Tosti, chalk Celinda, the chalk Valimaki, those guys. Like maybe I'll bet them like top 30 or something if I really want to bet them. But yeah, Jake Knapp is also on the card. I also bet Mackenzie Hughes.
Okay.
I just like how he's trending coming in. He reminds me of how he was trending before he won Sanderson a couple of years ago, where he's actually starting to drive the ball really good. He's added some speed to his game the last couple of years, so he actually hits it a little farther than what you think. He's got a little more pop than you would think with Mackenzie Hughes. He's driving it pretty good coming in. I'm devaluing iron play, but like typically he's not a great ball striker. His recent iron performances over the last month have been pretty good. He's got a lot of good finishes in a row. He's a solid putter. His overall birdie rates are kind of weaker, but I think it's because he's so inconsistent. But he scores really well on the par fives. He's got a good short game where I feel like on some of these, of these, like, if you do have to get up and down, he can definitely do it. Like like Mackenzie Hughes fits like the Alex Noren like template for me this year of like a guy that he's not the best ball striker, not the best long iron player, but guy just makes a lot of birdies and can put it in the hole. So and he's coming in good form, and I bet Hughes at 45 to 1.
I like that a lot. I think I'm going to add that.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I think Alejandro Tosti's down to 65.
So much steam. I was staring at 100 to 1 at the beginning of the week on him, but I was driving through a state where I could not bet, so I was actually thinking if I wanted to bet him, and then as soon as I crossed into Pennsylvania, I think he was down to like 75 already. I'm like, you know what?
So I got a 90.
I missed it.
I'm obviously, like, since I wait until Tuesday night, I never really get the good numbers, but I can see why people like CLV. It kind of feels good now, even though it's probably not going to win.
It's meaningless at the end of the day. It's does your guy win or not?
Yeah, and so I got a 90 on him.
Okay, yeah, I still see a 90 on FanDuel. Okay. All right.
I also got a worse number. Can you believe that? By a lot.
What do you mean?
I bet Austin Eckroat.
Okay, make the case for Eckroat.
Well, he's one of my guys.
Okay.
And he's decent with his long irons, and I think that was before I started really like thinking about the course and how I was going to play. But I feel like I just play. I bet him when he won because I said, okay, I like Carson at this course. Him and Carson are like pretty similar-ish, and so I'm going to bet him. And then he ended up winning. And when he's on with his irons, like he just doesn't miss. So his recent form isn't that great, but I'm gonna jump back on.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I mean, his form coming in, it's at least a little better than what it was. Like at least he started like gain strokes on the field. He does have a good finish here a couple of years ago. He doesn't have a lot of length.
That's what it was.
What was it?
I think it was maybe I was like looking at the approach skill like over 200 or something. Or no, it was strokes gained at TPC Craig Ranch. I think he's up there.
Yeah, because he's got a really good. I think he's got like a top 5 finish.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So he's got a good finish there. Doesn't drive it very far, but he gains strokes off the tee. So he's an okay putter. He's a little above average. So I don't hate it though. I can see it. I mean, he's won it like, he won at El Cardinal. I mean, it's a completely different golf course, but
that's exactly
required a lot of birdies. So
yeah, he got a T2 here in 2023, and he's gained, other than Taylor Pendrith, he's gained the most strokes here, even though it's a small sample size. Over 4 rounds, he likes this place.
Yeah. Okay. A couple other guys I bet. I made the joke a couple weeks ago about how the Højgaards are basically just it's like the Prestige, where they're both this, they trade places with each other. One guy is just really good one week, the other guy's a complete train wreck. But they both have the skill sets I'm looking for. They both are really long off the tee. They both can make a lot of putts, and both can make fair share of birdies.
So where'd you go?
I ended up just betting both because I didn't want to pick the wrong one. So I bet Rasmus at 50. I bet Højgaard at 65, and they're down to like 45 and 60. I think get a couple books, but I was like, what? I don't, because I played the game like I bet Rasmus, but then Nikolai shows up. I bet Nikolai, but then Rasmus shows up. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I think one of them probably is going to pan out this week. The other one's going to flame out in spectacular fashion. So I'm like, I'm just going to bet both. I can fit on my card.
All right.
They both offer the same exact thing. I just don't know which one's going to show up. So I'm on the Højgaard twins too.
Anyone else under 100?
Yeah. So 2 more guys. Yeah. So I told you about Yeager. I bet Hughes, Højgaard twins, and Knapp. So we talk about them. This guy's a loser, and I'm glad you're here tonight, so I don't have to hear just sighs and see eye rolls and just criticisms, and just accusations this man is not well endowed in certain areas. But I bet Alex Smalley at 90-1. I'm not proud of it, but I've seen him in the mix a couple times at some similar courses, for wins. He's playing good. He's not the longest guy, but he's got plus distance, but he's a really good driver. He's got fairly decent birdie rates. One thing we didn't mention earlier is this is a Tom Weisskopf. He also designed TPC Scottsdale, and there's been some guys who've been pretty good at Scottsdale in here, like mostly KH Lee in particular. Alex Smalley played pretty well at Scottsdale this year, so we can do that type of track. And I thought 90-1 was a pretty good number on a guy who's been in the mix, who is a good driver, which was really what I'm going for this week.
Yeah,
so I bet him.
I feel like everyone was betting him recently. Do you remember where that was?
Yeah, I mean, they were betting him in. They bet him, I think, at Torrey. They bet him at maybe Bay Hill. I want to say. I mean, people were betting Alex Smalley a lot.
Yeah.
And Just
90 to 1 is a lot better number than I bet they bet on that too. So
yeah, so he's back down to 90 to 1, kind of a bad field. So, I figure I'll take a stab at that. And listen, like I have no counterpoint to this take right here. It's very accurate. But look, even sometimes Russell Henley is handed a win when you don't think it's going to happen. So who knows? And I bet Michael Torbjornsson at 90 to 1 as well. I think the number stinks. Like this probably should be like 150 to 1. But coming off a second place finish at Corrales, technically he was a top 5 finish at Zurich last week. He didn't play all that great, but still a top 5 finish there. But length, and he makes a lot of birdies. And I believe in the kid's talent. I think maybe this is because he had a lot of high expectations coming in. And he had that second in John Deere. I think he had another good finish at like a couple other like birdie fest in the fall too. And like he's been battling some injuries. He has underachieved. Maybe he's starting to figure it out. And I believe in the talent. And he's got some attributes I'm looking for this week as far as just pop off the tee and the guy can get in the hole for birdies. So just cut down the mistakes, young man. 90 to 1, Michael Torbjornsson. I'm on that too.
All right. Yeah. He's 23. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Very young kid. So, some other guys I like that I highlighted, I just didn't bet them outright. I'm going to be really sick to my stomach if this is Jacob Bridgman week after how high Fabber and I were on him. I get it. Like, great putter, lots of birdies, like the iron play. It's very up and down, but he at least is pretty good from over 150. And I'm not caring about it all this much this week. That could be a play. I just stuck with, and maybe I shouldn't have gone so heavy on just a guy with distance is going to win. I mean, I did that in Mexico, and then Brian freaking Campbell won, but he doesn't have a lot of distance. And I just said, I'm going to stick to my theory this week. So, but I like him this week. I like Bridgman. Same with like Ryan Gerard. Again, fits a lot of things I'm looking for. Lots of birdies, good putter. Good iron play where I think it's probably a good finish for him. Just not a lot of pop off the tee. That was enough to like get me off him, but I don't mind it. Harry Hall, like Dave's boy in Discord, guy just makes a ton of birdies and is a great putter. He won ISCO. That's kind of a piece of crap golf course too. No offense to anybody who loves Keen Trace there, but yeah, this would definitely fit into the Harry Hall like Wikipedia page if he wins the CJ Cup. Byron Nelson here. I don't mind him at all.
New caddy this week.
Yeah, new caddy. Hitting his irons pretty good lately too. Like if you're into that, like that's not terrible. Obviously Celinda. Of Celinda, Hoy, and you, I definitely like Celinda the best. The other two are just complete knuckleheads with the putter that I just don't trust them. Celinda, he's not a great putter, but he's been putting a little better lately. And they all have high birdie rates. And Celinda hits it pretty far. So of those three, I like them. Obviously I like Tosti, like from the profile standpoint of just long and makes a lot of birdies. Yes for Svensson, kind of into that too. Like just bad iron player, but just hits it a mile, makes a lot of birdies. That could work for you this week. A lot of people like Valimaki this week. The guy right next to him in the pricing, Vince Whaley. I think maybe it's like a DFS pivot because he gives you more distance than Valimaki and more birdies. And they're both good putters. Just that Valimaki's just hitting his irons a lot better this week or coming in. So a guy like that. Sam Ryder, just good putter, makes a lot of birdies. Not a great driver though. He's really short. But if you're into the long iron stuff, like he's really good from that range, that could work for you. Hayden Springer, I think he's probably going to be popular for DFS, but that's another guy I highlighted for possible positional. Patrick Fishburne, I almost bet him outright. That's a guy I like because he's got plus distance off the tee, good putter, good birdie rates. He's starting to play a little better lately too. Like Patrick Fishburne a lot this week. I might bet him positional actually. I think that's gonna be one. I end up going to in that market. Pearson Cootie kind of fits. That's who I thought you bet, like your gross pick earlier. That's who I thought you were going with. Like
Sorry,
that
someone just pulled into my driveway. I just had to text my wife.
okay.
I'm betting Pearson Cootie.
Excellent.
And
All right, talk about Pearson Cootie then.
Okay, it's the same reason that I'm betting my gross play of the week this week, and again, like the first thing I looked at was long iron play, and Pearson is also up there. And so whenever you mentioned him today and you said you liked him, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely doing that as well. And this guy, his name, again, someone I've never really heard of, never seen a golf shot, but this has worked for me in the past, and you're aware of it. But Nicholas Norgard.
Okay.
Do you know?
I have him highlighted on my sheet too because he fits a lot of those attributes.
Okay. I looked
Bomber,
at
lots of birdies.
I looked at his chart on Data Golf, and it's literally just like maxed out in putting and maxed out in driving distance. And I was like, boom, my guy. Like he's gonna like that's exactly what we need here. So
there you go.
Again, not financial advice. I'm not a huge like I haven't looked into him, never seen him hit a golf shot, but love it. And this has worked for me in the past. So I'm gonna stick with my gut and go for it. But yeah, same reason I like Pearson. I think he's got less shots tracked than Nicholas, but Texas guy. I think he's actually played here a lot in college too. So like,
okay,
yeah.
All right. All right. So Pearson Cootie, I like too. Danny Walker was another guy highlighted down here. Like this is more like positional or like DFS
Danny
plays
walks.
at this point. Yeah, like just plus distance makes a lot of birdies. Like if you're looking for that profile, even his hitting his irons pretty good if you're into that this week too. Danny Walker was another one. How about your boy Chandler Phillips playing good golf? Texas guy, good putter, good birdie rates.
Yeah. First, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know he isn't like Cam Champ where he just like doesn't like golf, but like he's so active on social media and never has any like, or he doesn't have a whole lot of golf stuff. It's all fishing. Like that's all he thinks about really. Like I think he's definitely good enough to stick around for a while. There's a reason he's on the tour.
Okay.
And I mean, I really hope he wins. Like I literally went to like college parties with him, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, he did putt really well last week. Terrible with his driver though.
Yeah, that's the big killer is bad driver. But like if this is one where even with the narrow fairways, if that rough really isn't just rough shape and really dodgy and not that difficult, like might not matter to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's worth a positional, or maybe if you can find him in a matchup or something, but probably not going to win.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Did you bet LIV this week at all?
No, I did get a good number on Chris Gotterup. Also, an OU guy. He was paired with Quade Cummins last week, and I think he really carried Quade after looking at the numbers. That's already down to 90. I got a 150 on him.
Yeah, people love betting Gotterup. He's a drug, I feel like.
Yeah, I bet him. I've only bet him like one or two other times, and he won one of those times. So
yeah,
but hits at a mile. He'll be fun to watch. And then I also bet Cam Davis at 100.
Okay, I looked at that too.
Again,
I've been burned so many times by Cam Davis, but I definitely can see it.
I played him in DFS at like 1% at the beginning of the season, and he won me some money there. So I'm hopping back on. Like everyone kind of jumped on the train And I realize he's on the chart, but I think this is a good chart play. Same with Jake Knapp. Like if Jake Knapp's hitting his irons well and his driver well, then I mean he can win for sure.
Okay.
Other than that, I still have one more guy I can add, but I bet Nicholas top 20. I'll probably add Pearson top 20 as well. And that's
all right.
really all I got.
All right. As far as LIV goes, I mean, we're not going to do a LIV preview tonight. I just got off vacation. I didn't have time. So what I do know about LIV, I'll probably end up posting a couple bets. What I can tell you about where they're playing the LIV course this week. So they're over in South Korea this week. They're playing at the Jack Nicklaus Golf Club in Korea. So Jack Nicklaus design has some traits. I was looking on Google Earth, has some traits of like Murfield Village, as far as like really wide fairways, but lots of water, lots of, if you miss a fairway, definitely a lot of opportunity to rack up a penalty stroke. So there's characteristics like that. There's a lot of unnatural land movement, aka they moved a lot of earth to make a lot of uphill shots, downhill shots. It's right by the water, but I mean, it looks in great shape. A lot of these Korean golf courses are in immaculate condition. This is bent grass tee to green, so bent grass rough, bent grass fairways, bent grass greens. It looks like a very pretty golf course. They had the President's Cup there in 2015. They had the Genesis Championship there last year, and the year before that in October. Ben On won there last year over Tom Kim, for reference. So don't really know that much else about the golf course. I think probably you want guys who are really good drivers, good bent grass putters. Joaquin Niemann might just go back to back, to be completely honest. One thing I also noticed too, like when you think about Jack Nicklaus courses, like you think about guys that like favors a fade. Funny thing is a lot of their approach shots favor guys who hit a lot of right to left shots, not a lot of fade shots. I thought that was interesting. And I don't feel like it favors really guys off the tee that hit it like a lot of fades. So that's kind of why I kind of like Niemann again this week.
I mean, he's the new Tiger of LIV.
Yeah, apparently. So, and like I think his odds is like he's definitely not getting priced that way. Like, what is his outright price? It is, where's LIV? Okay, you know what he is? He's 7-1. Okay, so I thought he was like 10-1. Hatton's also a guy I might be interested in as well, because he's starting to drive it a lot better lately. He's starting to play better. I don't know. I have such a bad taste about what happened last week on LIV. It looked like on Saturday night I might win every single bet I made, and then it all went to crap on Sunday. Awful. Thanks, Bryson. Thanks, Bryson. Thanks, Carlos Ortiz. Thanks, Mito Pereira, for doing nothing to help Team Torque on Sunday.
Team Torque. I'm still calling it Team Torque.
I know. So, all right. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I think I just gonna round it out with Isaiah Salinda. You're on him, right?
No, I'm not. I'm jealous of that. I will live vicariously through you if you win that.
Okay.
All right. There you go.
Oh, that's it.
All right. That's it. Thanks for joining us. We will be back next Sunday night to talk about a new golf course in PG Tour, the Philadelphia Cricket Club, for the Truist Championship, because they are not going to Quail Hollow this week. They're going to Quail Hollow the following week. So we'll break all that down. We'll recap the Byron Nelson. Hopefully comes out with a winner. And with that, thanks for watching. Let's break them books. And let's go win some bets.